Okay.
Okay.
Live.
Live.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Nadanam.
Jai.
Hare
Of
Bol.
Hare
course,
Krishna.
live. We're eternal, right? How could we not be
Jai.
live?
Live as life can be.
So, Prabhu,
Ramachandra?
I'd like to ask you to elaborate on the three levels of devotees. So, from how does one advance from Kanishtadhikari to Madhyamadhikari, and from Madhyamadhikari to Uttamadhikari? What does it involve to advance from Kanishta to Madhyama to Uttamadhikari? How does
And clear that for me, Nathan.
I'm not sure what Bhanu Prabhu is asking.
Bhanu Prabhu is asking, what are you asking, Bhanu Prabhu? Can you say it again very slowly?
yeah? Let Narayan Prabhu settle down and ask. Yes.
Okay.
Just a moment.
Actually, we're not asking Narayan, we're asking Prabhupada. So it means we all have an equal chance of answering the questions, is insofar as we search what Prabhupada has said. If we know what Prabhupada said, and we accept what he said. A big problem with the Krishna consciousness movement is they thought they were very clever in exiting from Prabhupada and only quoting him when it was useful to their goals, their political gain and whatnot, their social structure. That works in a church insofar as churches work at all. If you get enough people convinced they're going to be saved, then the minister could do what he pleases. But in this case, we have to try to find the answers as they came from Prabhupada, which means that each and every person, particularly Bhanu, is a candidate for knowing what Prabhupada said. And if you have a question, this is to Gosti, we will discuss it amongst ourselves. How's that?
Jai. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
So, how
We're
does
ready for
one?
Bhanu, but I may need Ramachandra to translate a little bit because of the difficulty of the India to America situation.
Yes, go ahead, Bhanu Prabhu. Can you go ahead?
Kanishtadhikari means following the four regulative principles and acting on the soul platform. So,
yes.
After getting to Kanishtadhikari, how does one go? How does one progress to Madhyamadhikari, and how does then the Madhyamadhikari progress to Uttamadhikari? What process does it involve?
That's the most intelligent question I've heard in the last 40 years. Unfortunately, people are not interested in this. They're only interested in their going along to get along and what their position is and who surrenders to who and who's in control of who. But you're asking a question which is based on the Bhakti Lata Beach. Why? Because from Kanista, you go vertically, not horizontally, to Kanista, to Madhyamadhikari. And from Madhyamadhikari, there's only one direction left to go, and that is vertical, up to Krishna's lotus feet. So it's a channel to go up to, but starting with the Kanistadhikari, that's fine. If you're a member of ISKCON and you think your initiator is going to take you back to Godhead and all that stuff, go for it. It won't happen in this lifetime. And if you keep into that mentality, it won't happen in your next or your next or your next or your next or your next lifetime. But if you stick with the program in ISKCON and don't bloop and don't get discouraged, you eventually go back to Godhead. There's no doubt about that. Why? Because Prabhupada said anyone who hears the holy name of Krishna once will go back to Godhead eventually. But he didn't say how eventually. It could be 100 million lifetimes, which puts you ahead of the line of all the people that did not ever hear the holy name of Krishna, which means they are not going to go back to Godhead unless some sort of miracle occurs and they come across a Prabhupada or Lord Chaitanya or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in some planet that they never came to. So our luck is just unbelievable. We're saturated with the holy name. Just a few years ago, Lord Chaitanya delivered it. 500 years ago is not very. 500 years ago means if you have, that's like 20 births, meaning father, father, son, 20 times, and you've got Lord Chaitanya if you go back 500 years. That's amazing. It's so recent. You know, we think it's a long time ago or it's hard to understand. Well, neither. It's very immediate and it is very recent. Because think of what your physical ancestors were doing 500 years ago. I happen to have an idea of what some of my ancestors were doing 500 years ago. And they were not following Lord Chaitanya. But if I have a history, an oral history or written history coming down from the 14th, the time my ancestors came to America at the time Lord Chaitanya was preaching in India. And I pretty well know their history down to my present birth. I know their history about the Puritans, you know, they came across on a boat after the Mayflower. So it's recent history. I mean, compared to Lord Krishna appearing 5,000 years ago, that's amazing. Or compared to Jesus 2,000 years ago, Moses, you know, and Abraham a couple of thousand years ago. I mean, these things are this is such a recent occurrence, 500 years. It's practically in our cultural memory. It's in my cultural memory because I know who was there. So now to answer your question.
Yes, that's what I was
going to okay, I hope you understood why I was saying what I was saying. It is recent history compared to other things, compared to the Bible. Okay, so Kanista Adhikari is distinguished, as we've gone over a number of times. Kanista Adhikari is distinguished by his being understanding Aham Brahmasmi. I am spirit soul. I am Brahman. But when I say I am Brahman, the yogi says I am Brahman, meaning I am Krishna myself, or I am God myself. We say I am Brahman, meaning Achinta Veda Veda Tattva. I am simultaneously one and different from Krishna. In other words, I'm infinitesimal part and parcel of God. My substance is the same as Krishna, but my quantity is infinitesimal compared to Krishna being infinite. But it's the same thing. I'm Krishna, you're Krishna, Krishna's Krishna. Difference is size and a number of qualities. Krishna cannot fall down. We have fallen down. So that's a distinction too. Okay, now, if you want to, are in the Kanista Adhikari platform, you're surrounded by the four regulative principles. Banu, do you agree? I can't see you, Banu. Is that intentional?
I'm able to see you. Just swipe right.
Okay, now I see you. Okay, when in the Kanista level, I am surrounded by the four regulative principles. They're like a fence with four big posts. The four regulative principles are like four big fence posts, and in between is fencing. And we're like galloping horses galloping around, or cows, or goats, or whatever. But we can't get out of the pasture because the fence will not let us. And what is the fence? It is observing the four regulative principles and not going outside of the four regulative principles to break them. So that's the Kanista Adhikari. And anyone who has to follow the four regulative principles, in other words, anyone who is not yet free from the impulse of possibly breaking a four regulative principle, one of the four, that person is clearly a Kanista Adhikari. Now, As a Kinestadakari, you're on the Aniabalasha beach, which is social interactive beach. You see somebody, you get married, you find this, you do that. It's like on planet Earth, except much more wonderful. Because on planet Earth, nobody is on the Kinestadakari platform. We are, but I mean, nobody else is. The karmis, everybody out there, they are simply struggling in the dark, unable to understand anything about God or themselves. They have so many ideas and theories and religions, but it's not going to do them any good at the time of death or any other time either. Look at Christianity, killed more people than anyone in the history of the Kali Yuga. Since Christianity, more people have been murdered by Christians than any other faith. And if the Muslims haven't killed more people, it's simply because they haven't been there as long. They will to give them a chance. The Jews haven't killed lots of people, but they got involved in plenty of wars and were killed many, many times themselves. So that's the Kinestadakari platform. Now, it's social. You go to the temple, you say, "Hi, Prabhu." Just like ISKCON, you go to the temple, you offer your obeisances, you worship the deity, you take prasadam, you follow the regulator principles. If you're lucky in a enlightened temple, which doesn't really exist, you will go once a week to Istagosti, where even the initiator, misnamed guru, but the initiator, Kanista initiator, will sit down and be equal with you. Not that he sits there presiding over you during Istagosti. No, no, no. That's not allowed. He has to be equal to you. So only if an Uttamadakari can be above you. But now we are dealing with the how to progress from the Kinestadakari. So, as you go to the temple, as you get, the 4 ashrams, you are brahmachari and you learn about Krishna consciousness. You become a grihasta, you reproduce, you have children, you go to the temple, you can get others to come to the temple. If you have a business, you donate money to the temple. Then you go for vanaprastha, which is retired life. Your children, by that time, if they're good children, have grown up, girls married, boys taking over the family business. And then you have the vanaprastha stage where you can wander with your wife to holy places. So that's another step upward. And then last stage, sannyas, where you go out and you live as though you never had a penny in your life. As a sannyasi, you go, never mind the ISKCON sannyasis, they have big, you read the Falgun Krishna Panchami about the Gaudiya Math, they have big bank accounts and they can lend money to the householders at profit. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the sannyasi who goes out and lives under a tree. Of course, it's easier in a warm climate like India. And he goes up and he sees a man milking a cow. He will stand there with his bowl in his hand. And the farmer will fill his bowl with fresh milk right from the udder of the cow. And then the sannyasi will drink that milk and then go back into the forest and wash his bowl in the nearest stream. So there we go. So then the sannyasi also can go and visit the householder. The householder cries out of his house. I'm talking about Kinestadakaris. The householder or Kinestadakari can call out of his house and say, "Are there any hungry men? Are there any hungry men?" And the sannyasi, if he's nearby and can hear, he goes and he will take prasadam with the Kinestadakari householder.
Here
and he
in
can
this
even stay overnight 3 times. And then, should I finish more, or you want to do something?
No, Prabhu, I just want to put a new angle because you were talking about the grihasta. So Srila Prabhupada is saying here, he has his wife, children. So here the problem is Shreyas. What is the ultimate good? That is mistaken here. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita is required. He is thinking that Krishna is not so important. My family is important. My family. Although he is devotee, therefore Kanishta Adhikari in the lower stage of devotee. In the lower stage
Prabhupada
of
writes
devotion.
that?
Yeah,
Prabhupada
Prabhupada
said
writes
that?
it. Yes,
Okay.
Prabhupada said it here. My family is important. My family. Although he is devotee, therefore Kanishta Adhikari in the lower stage of devotee. In the lower stage of devotion, one may be interested in Krishna consciousness, but his real interest is how to improve his material life.
And
What a
that's why we
distinction.
refer to it as the Anyabalasha beach.
Yes. Yeah. And Prabhupada makes a very
Basically,
distinction here.
at that stage, a person is, at that stage, a person is very interested in using religion to improve his lifestyle.
Yeah, we had a conversation regarding this evening.
Yeah. And go to any ISKCON temple, you'll see Indians are coming, making donations. Sometimes big donations, hundreds of thousands of dollars donations, or $50 or $1,000. Why? They want to improve their enjoyment. And they calculate by giving to the deities, by giving to the Brahmins, by giving to the temple, my lifestyle will increase and I will do better in business. I will do better at home. And my children will do better coming to the temple. So that's an interesting statement by Srila Prabhupada because it's a lot more raw than I was saying.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to point out. Much more
And
raw.
I'm glad you did.
So we have another understanding on Kanishta
But
Adhikari.
anyhow, to get the, oh, drat, what happened to my image? To get the,
I mean, are the three levels of devotees, are they linked up to the stages of chanting in that perspective?
well, yes, they can. The Kanishta Adhikari is probably chanting Hare Krishna, at least in our age. You know, the Kanishta Adhikari existed 5,000 years ago also. So he was not chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, for sure. He was doing jagyas to increase his good karma.
No, the offensive chanting, Nama Parada, Nama Bhasha,
Yeah.
and pure chanting. Could you relate everything?
Yes, because
you can explain.
everybody, particularly in India, even the people referring to themselves, actually being referred to by the Muslims as Hindus, you know, Hindu means from Afghanistan point of view, Muslim point of view, Hindu means the people living on the other side of the Indus River. So anyone who uses the word Hindu is like a Afro-American calling himself a blackamoor, because it's actually an insulting comment. And he adopts it, the Hindus adopted the Muslim point of view for themselves, which is strange. They're actually by nature Vaishnavas, but it all fell apart in the last 5,000 years. And as you know, there's Shiva worship, there's Ganesh worship, there's worship of everybody, all the pantheon of deities. But now to get back to the topic, your question. So thankfully, Ramachandra brought in that point. But in an ISKCON temple, presumably, well, in the ISKCON temple, presumably everyone is chanting 16 rounds, which is unusual because that can only occur in the last 500 years. Kanishta Adhikari goes back thousands of years. But now the Kanishta Adhikari can chant Hare Krishna on beats, which makes a vast difference in the outcome of his being a Kanistadikari. Now then, he comes into the temple, he begins to worship the deity, and I mentioned that he goes and becomes sannyas. He can go and stay even 3 nights with a householder, Kanista householder. And during that time, he's not there just to enjoy himself. He's there to enlighten because the householders are busy doing their thing, doing their business, caring for their children, nursing their babies, cooking their meals, sleeping and getting up and all that, with more or less some degree of spiritual practice. So the sannyasi comes who has completed all of that in his own life. He then can come and say, yes, I was this businessman, that businessman, but now look. And he starts enlightening them on the inner teachings of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, etc., and leave them in a state of exalted ecstasy by the 3rd day when he walks out the door.
So
Okay.
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
Can someone remain a Kanishta Adhikari even if they chant Hare Krishna all their life? I mean, if someone has, they've taken up the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and they do it very sincerely. At the same time, remain a Kanishta Adhikari.
They can.
Why not?
If they don't get to the soul consciousness, if they relate it to the body.
Why shouldn't they remain a Kanishta Adhikari?
No,
the person ceases, okay, to give the completion to it, the Kanishta Adhikari goes through that process, takes sannyas even, and at the sannyas stage, he may decide that he wants to become involved with Vishnu, with Krishna, with the grace of Paramatma.
Prabhu, would you get to the question exactly?
Well, I'm getting there.
Put to the point.
Gradually. So when he desires that he wants to give up all material objectives, he wants to give up saying, hi, how are you, when he sees the devotee in the street. He wants to give up sitting and socializing and talking during the Sunday feast. He wants to give all of that up and concentrate on only one thing. He wants to concentrate on perfecting his personal relationship with Krishna via intimate conversation having in devotional service by rendering. I've mentioned how I like to use the example that he begins to fan Krishna with a peacock fan, but he doesn't know how Krishna is receiving that. And if he doesn't very good at it, then Krishna won't receive it at all. Or he might receive it peripherally, but with not very much attention. Because Krishna likes perfection, nothing less. Why should Krishna settle for less? If anyone can not settle for less than perfection, it should be the all-perfect personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. Why should Krishna settle for less than perfection? Just because he likes to see us wobbling around trying to follow the regular principles? No way, Jose. No, he's not interested in that. He is only interested when you want him to be interested in you, and when you want to be interested in him in such a way that he will become interested in you. And that is when you do something, I like to use the example fanning, because you're fanning and you're inside of the coconut shell. That's the Mari Kari platform. Once you've given up all the Kanista pastimes, whether by sannyas or just because you are brahmachari and you say, to heck with it, I don't want to get involved in all this stuff all the time. And you say, I want to find Krishna, I want to relate to Krishna, and more importantly, I want to attract Krishna to me. I want Krishna to look at me and say, that is a person who I would love to associate with personally. When Krishna wants to associate with you, it's because you have become a pure devotee. Otherwise, why would he want to associate with you? Out of pity? Out of disgust? out of nausea? Why would he want to associate with anyone that wasn't completely 100% attractive to Krishna? Just as the person becomes increasingly attracted to Krishna, we're in the Madhyamadikaya platform there. When the person is attracted to Krishna and does something like fanning Krishna, for instance, when Krishna begins to experience more pleasure than boredom from being fanned, and then he becomes delighted with being fanned, he becomes enriched in his own feelings by being fanned by you. And remember, you're inside the coconut shell, meaning you're still inside the dark material universe.
So,
You're
comment.
meditating. Yes, go ahead.
So,
Yes?
how do we fan Krishna? Krishna is Krishna. So, do we access Krishna through the holy names? Because Krishna is not there in the material world, as you said before. And how do you fan Krishna? In what sense do we render fanning Krishna? I mean,
Oh, you can fan Krishna, but remember, there's the story of the Brahmin who had his sitting under a tree in just a loincloth, a coconut. And he is imagining a beautiful city with a gorgeous temple in it. And he goes into the temple, which doesn't exist, it's his imagination. And he sees a deity there. And he goes up to the deity, again, only in his imagination. And he worships the deity. And finally, he advances to the point where he feels like he would like to cook for the deity. So he cooks prasadam for the offerings for the deity that becomes prasadam. One day he cooked sweet rice, but he was late. And it was supposed to be 4 o'clock. The Madhyamadikari doesn't need a clock. He does everything because he knows when to do it. And he's thinking, oh my God, I cooked this sweet rice too recently. It should be cool when I offer it to Krishna. But the time for his offering is in 10 minutes. Remember, this is all imaginary. If he cheated, he could move the time, saying, okay, this is actually 2 hours too early, so I'll offer the sweet rice 2 hours from now, and it will be the 4 o'clock. Not that it's 4 o'clock now. No, he's keenly aware that it's 4 o'clock now. And he wants to offer the sweet rice, and he can't because he thinks it's too hot. So he puts his thumb, I think, or finger into the sweet rice. It's so hot that he burns his finger. So shocking is the burn that he jerks out of his memory, his remembrance, or his fantasy. He jerks out of that dream that he's about to offer sweet rice to Krishna, because he burned his finger for real. He didn't burn his imaginary finger. Well, he did that too, the imaginary finger, but he burned his real finger. And when he came shocked out of his trance, there he is in his kopan, sitting under a tree, and he looks at his hand, and his finger is burned. Can you imagine? So how does that happen? It was because he was fantasizing or imagining that he's doing this wonderful service that he's continuing to do.
But what if most of us cannot imagine all the pastimes with the Lord?
Well, no, because you have to become a Madhyamadikari. I mean, he was so far along that he didn't need to be in a temple. He didn't need to be socializing. He didn't need to be with his wife and children. He didn't need to be, as Ramachandra Prabhu kindly quoted Prabhupada saying that, he's more interested in his own pleasure than he is in his spiritual advancement. So getting past that stage, which is Kanista Adhikari, in which everybody in this gun is Kanista Adhikari. Everybody's interested. When will Barsadam? When will I get this? When will I get a new dhoti? When will I get this? When will I have that? I want some water. I want this. I want that. I want this. And then they go to worship the deity. Oh, it's my turn to worship the deity. Okay, I'm going to prepare myself, take a bath, and clean my hands, and bring the offering. He does it with love, but he also does it as a ritual. You see what I mean? It's ritualistic, but it has the effect of giving him gradual spiritual advancement.
Right, right.
Does that make sense? So we've gone beyond that stage to a person who's, say, sitting under a tree, imagining a temple, imagining a deity, imagining cooking sweet rice, and then actually burning his finger. What is the significance of that? Well, the Madhya Madhikari no longer is under the guidance of his bona fide Uttama Adhikari spiritual master. I make that distinction because the Kanista initiators don't get close to qualifying themselves to be Madhya Madhikari, what to speak of guiding a Madhya Madhikari to keep him from making mistakes or falling down at that stage. So as a person begins to develop Madhya Madhikari, he could also get mistaken. He could also get puffed up. He could also think about things he might like that are not directly connected to his single-minded worship of Krishna. So the spiritual master watches or observes the guru, the disciple. When I say spiritual master, I mean the transparent via medium. I mean the Uttama Adhikari, spiritual master. I mean, of course, Srila Prabhupada or Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati or Thakur Bhaktivinoda, who are actual spiritual masters, not Kanista wannabes. So when that happens, the Madhya Madhikari is watched, but he's being guided by Vishnu. Now, where does he find Vishnu? Well, Vishnu is Paramatma, he's in your heart. But just as Prabhupada said, make me dance like a puppet on a string, Prabhupada said, but also you can say, guide me, show me, help me. And guess what? Paramatma is Krishna, but he's an expanded form of Krishna. He comes into the material universe, doesn't ever touch it, but he's inside every atom. He's inside the heart of every living being. So Paramatma, as the person develops, and Banu, this is a vital part for you.
Yeah, I just found it here. I give intelligence. It doesn't require, if it's sincere, if he's actually a devotee, Krishna will help him.
Okay, do you want to read something?
Yes. You were
Go
talking
ahead.
about Paramatma. You were talking about Paramatma giving guidance. So I just
To the Madhyam Adhikari.
yeah. It's saying here, I give intelligence. He doesn't require. If he's sincere, if he's actually a devotee, Krishna will help him. Guru Krishna Kripa. Guru is secondary. He's saying Guru is secondary, another mercy of Krishna. Krishna is helping within and without. That without help is Guru, Krishna's representative. So Krishna is always ready to help us. And when Krishna is helping us, it is very easy to understand him. Therefore, a devotee is beyond all doubts. So
That's
in this,
amazing. Where's that from?
this is from Prabhupada's lecture in 1972 in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Who is first is last, last is first.
Mahaprabhu.
I wasn't there.
First is last is first.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada did say,
Well, Jesus did go to India. He probably picked up on that. So,
yes, Bhanu, You were going to say
Prabhupada
something?
he did mention that as we advance in chanting, and the pastimes will come in your mind. I mean, they will be revealed to you. And
It's not the pastimes.
name, form, quality.
It is your desire to offer Krishna service and attractive service that he will like and accept. And guess how you can do that?
Through the name, the form, qualities, pastimes will be revealed.
That's the beginning. When you get to the point of understanding that, then you can become the Madhyamadikari. But what I'd like to point out is that how can you even begin to understand? Well, we're part and parcel of Krishna, so we might have some inkling how to please Krishna just on the basis of being part and parcel. But that's not enough to progress as a Madhyamadikari. For the Madhyamadikari to actually progress, he needs to be guided by Paramatma, who coincidentally happens to be Krishna.
Right here.
So if you want to please Krishna, Paramatma, when you are addicted to Paramatma's guidance,
No, I was talking
not
about
that you want Paramatma to give you a car and give you some clothes, but which he will do if you demand them. But quite the opposite, you are saying to Paramatma, please guide me how to please Govinda in Krishna Loka. And Paramatma is an expansion of Krishna, and he knows very well how to do that.
But
So
one comment.
He guides you.
One comment.
And you take the guidance, and he guides you.
Chidananda Prabhu.
Yes.
Go ahead. Yes. Chidananda Prabhu, you want to say something?
Well, are we not all guided by Paramatma? Because Paramatma is always present.
Yes.
We're not all being guided.
But we're not being guided to Krishna by Paramatma.
No.
No. Can you imagine? Supposing, Chidananda, if you want a new pair of glasses, you have to ask Krishna, Paramatma, where's the doctor who does the glasses, the ophthalmologist? Where can you get the eye test? Where can you get your lenses polished or replaced? You ask Krishna and he tells you. You can also say, well, now that I've gotten my glasses, I think I'd like to break one of the regular principles. I think I'd like to have a beer or a glass of wine or whiskey. And so you say, where can I get that? I want a glass of whiskey. Krishna will guide you to a place where you can get a glass of whiskey. Paramatma will do that for you. Why? Because you asked. Whatever you ask for, Paramatma will grant you if you have the karma for it. You see what I mean? You may say, oh, Paramatma, I would love to have the throne of a king and a crown to wear and servants all around me. And Paramatma will say, nice try, but no cigar, because you don't have the karma for being a king. But if you say, I want to have a glass of whiskey, that's in your present human birth, that should work. You can do it. So if you want it, he'll guide you where to get it. And then you'll get a drink too much, and then you get a splitting headache, hangover the next day. They say, why, God, why did you let me do that? His answer, because you asked. So we have to be careful what we ask. When Prabhupada said, make me dance like a puppet on a string, he actually said, I don't want to be the actor at all. I don't want to ask for anything at all. I want you to be speaking through my mouth, moving my arms, moving my legs, and people will think that Swami from India, but it's actually everything dynamic that's going on is you, my dear Paramatma. You are the puppeteer. I am the puppet. I will move only when you move me.
Right.
That's a very powerful platform. Now, for the Kanista Adhikari, he is taking a different platform. He's asking Krishna to guide him to please Krishna, he's asking Paramatma to guide him to please Krishna.
Yes.
He's doing what the karmi does. I want a beer, I want a hamburger, I want this or that. Why does Krishna let us kill cows? Why does Paramatma let us kill animals and eat them? Why does he let us do all of the sinful things? Why does he let somebody's daughter become a prostitute? Why does he allow that? And the simple question is, because you asked. Because you asked. Whatever,
So,
you created that karma for yourself in a previous life by asking for things, and now you have to feel the results of that karma, and the only way out is to say to Paramatma, no, please, just make me dance like a puppet. I don't care. Sex worker, metal worker, a farmer, Brahmin, or whatever, just quit. I quit. Just make me dance like a puppet on the string. And that will give you the chance to become an instrument for Krishna, even without any qualification. You may have zero qualification. You may be a real bad sort. But if you say, please, Krishna, I don't want to act anymore. I'm not going to ask you how I can kill somebody, how I can steal, how I can rob. I'm not going to ask you that. You to be the master. I will be the puppet. You be the puppeteer. Even the worst criminal doing that will begin to become, well, if he can actually do it, if he's sincere, if he doesn't change his mind halfway through the sentence, which he probably will, but if he can get through the whole concept and live it, he will become suddenly a saint. And we can see so many people, President Trump pardoned so many people that were in prison for big crimes. And why? They had become kind and compassionate and were godly and everything. They were doing such nice things. They said they no longer belong in prison. The purpose of prison is to reform you. So he's reformed. Now he can go. So any criminal can beg Paramatma, make me dance like a puppet. And if he's sincere, Paramatma will. And if he doesn't ask for other things like cocaine and beating people up and becoming a pimp and have a bunch of sex workers under my control, if he doesn't do any of that, and he does beg, he will become a saint instantly. But of course, it's not an instant process. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying it's unlikely to do it, So that's the...
Ramachandra?
yes,
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yes.
Actually, when we chant Hare Krishna,
Yes.
it means, please Krishna, engage me in your service. So we are always constantly asking for their service, isn't it?
Yes.
That's the basis of it.
But that's a saying. The Hare Krishna mantra doesn't really translate like that. But it is that is why we chant. What you just said is why we chant, engage me in your service. But the chanting Hare Krishna doesn't mean engage me in your service, because when you're chanting the mantra, chanting japa, chanting kirtan, you are engaged in his service. That is the service that you're asking to be engaged in.
Also.
And it's right there, right on the surface, right there. Nothing in the wings. It's right there, chanting. That's why the Hare Krishna mantra is so powerful, that we can chant, and by so doing, we're immediately engaged as though we were in Krishna Prema. But because we're not in Krishna Prema, our consciousness is not like that. But that's the same sound vibration as if we were in Krishna Prema. But if I'm chanting myself, it's mixed with anarthas in my past karma. It's coming out through my pronunciation of the Maha Mantra.
Ah,
Yes.
But we can go
A
further.
question, Prabhu.
Did you find something?
Banu,
Bhanu Prabhu needs some clarification. Bhanu Prabhu is saying that, Bhanu Prabhu, can you say what you wanted to say? And I'll repeat. So,
From what you, I haven't got the answer about how to get to the stage of Madhyamadhikari. Does it all depend about mentally serving Krishna?
Well, yes.
Do-
Mentally, physically, emotionally serving Krishna. And begging Paramatma to show you, guide you how to please Krishna.
Hmm.
And remember, as you develop, as Krishna as you're guided by Paramatma how to serve Krishna, guess what? You're beginning to please Krishna to some degree. As much as you are following the guidance of Paramatma, you are pleasing Krishna for sure. So as you please Krishna for sure, it's the black wall. Look out the window when it's nighttime. That black wall is separating you from Krishna Loka and from Krishna in Krishna Loka. So as you progress, through that black wall, you offer your loving relationship, your loving feelings, fanning or making sweet rice or whatever you're doing. You get that repetitive improvement while being guided by Paramatma, and then Krishna begins to relish fully your offering as a Madhyamadikari.
So
As a
being guided by
Madhyamadikari,
Paramatma means even in the stage of being on a stage of Kanishtadhikari, being guided by Paramatma, you take that guidance, then you move to
when you're
Madhikari,
Kanistha,
is it?
when you're ready to go further than Kanistha, you're no longer interested in chit chat and having social encounters and birthday parties and stuff like that. You're only interested in pursuing Krishna's lotus feet by trying to do things that will give him pleasure. We're always thinking, oh, Krishna's kind to us. He's going to be nice to us. He's going to do nice things for us. That's Christianity. No, maybe even Judaism. Nope, that's not the story. The real story is that Krishna can be approached with devotional service. Just remember how Mother Yasoda became mother of Krishna. She developed the mood of motherhood and she began to lactate with large breasts in such a way that that milk could only be consumed by one person. She was not going to start feeding the homeless with her breast milk or feeding cats or feeding dogs or squishing it out into a bottle for babies. No, she had milk that was only for Krishna and prepared by Krishna from within guiding her. She perfected the milk supply to the point, to the extreme, shall I say, that Krishna desired to drink that milk. And then he made himself into a baby so that he could be picked up by Mother Yasoda and fed that amazing, unique breast milk from her breast. So you see, that's the same thing for the Kanistadikari, but for Mother Yasoda, it was much more developed. She may have already been a pure devotee in Krishna Loka, probably was. And she changed her rasa to become that of mother by desire. But I'm talking about while you're still stepping from Kanistha Adhikari through the platform of Madhyama Adhikari, in the Madhyama Adhikari stage, as you develop pure love of God, you're being guided in your actions and your mood and your feeling by Krishna in the heart, namely Paramatma, and protected by Prabhupada on the outside, just in case you start making blunders. Now, when this is Madhyamadikari, and when it becomes very, very excellent, flawless, in fact, Krishna develops the emotion or desire. I no longer can stand to be separated from Banu, Prabhu. I can no longer stand to be separated from Banu. He is offering me such offerings. He's fanning me. He's giving me sweet rice. He's doing these wonderful things in such a way that I cannot stand to have a wall between Banu and me, says Krishna.
But what wonderful
that
things
point-
can we offer to Krishna? I mean, what can
What?
we offer? What wonderful things can we offer to Krishna? There's nothing.
First
He's
of
not
all-
lack- he's not lacking anything, that's for sure.
Bhanu, was your question answered? Now we're moving on to the second question. I want to make sure that question, we haven't answered how to become a Madhyamadikari devotee. So are you satisfied
Well,
with the
that
answer?
is what I've described for the last 15, 20 minutes is how to be a Madhyamadikari. That
Yeah,
is
that's-
the Madhyamadikari.
Can you put it in 2 lines? Exactly.
Can I what?
Can you
you
put it
put
it
in two sentences, 2 lines? Or
Be a Madhyamadikari? To be a
Yeah,
how to get-
Madhyamadikari is to be guided from Krishna from within by Paramatma to please Krishna in such a way that Krishna accepts your service and ultimately ends up desiring your association because getting service through that dark wall of the material universe is not then good enough for Krishna. He wants you.
is that satisfactory, Bhanu Prabhu?
I'm not asking the description of a Madhyamadikari, how to get to the stage of Madhyamadikari. Did
That's
you
how he
answer that?
Can you
That's what he
explain,
answered.
Ramachandra?
He's saying how to get to the stage of Madhyamadikari. He's asking how to get
Giving
to the
up
stage.
desire for everything. You cannot have any desire for wife, children, or anything. You have
Yeah,
to have
we discussed that.
business, social life, friends, even the desire to go and hang out in the temple and take prasadam. You can do that, but cannot do it the way everyone else does it. To enjoy, you cannot be the enjoyer. You have to make Krishna the enjoyer. So when you are making Krishna, when you are pleasing Krishna by your activity and mental state, that Krishna is enjoying you, not that you're enjoying Krishna. When we take prasadam, we offer to Krishna crummy earth vegetables and crummy earth cow ghee. We offer it to Krishna, then he eats it, it becomes miraculously transformed into prasadam. Then we taste it afterwards, and that is our enjoyment. But we have to give up the sense that Krishna is going to make us the enjoyer, even of prasadam. We want him to be the enjoyer of what we offer to him and the way we offer it. And
I mean, if we have to give up everything and go after Krishna, I mean,
well, that's the Madhyamadikari.
but I mean, we
It's important to perfect.
we will have to take care of hunger, some clothes, shelter, everything. Give up and go to Krishna. Want to see a soul like that? Suffer himself and give and dedicate everything to him.
There's no suffering in giving Krishna pleasure.
Bhanu, no
Right?
suffering in giving Krishna pleasure.
No, we are seeing suffering in it. Therefore, we are not doing it exactly. That's what I am referring.
We're not doing it because we believe that the body is the self. We believe that I am Bhanu, I am Narayan. That's what I believe I am. As long as I believe I am not, I can't make progress. I can act on the Kanista platform, but I can't progress beyond it as long as I identify with my body even slightly. So what's the question of suffering? If you don't identify with your body, where is suffering?
No,
The body.
there are
The
diseases
soul,
attached to the body.
when you're saying suffering, do you mean the jiva is suffering? Sat? You as a sat, jiva, eternal part and parcel
The
of Krishna
jiva is
suffering?
attached to the body, which
Or your body
the body is suffering. No, the body is suffering, and
The body doesn't suffer.
The jiva is conscious of the body which is suffering. It is experiencing the suffering which the body is taking.
Yes. Okay. So I could say, well, Bhanu Prabhu, you feel that your body is suffering. I get it. And you're chanting Hare Krishna. That will help create benefit. I will see you in 10 lifetimes. And in 10 lifetimes, I will ask you, do you still suffering? In 10 lifetimes, 20 lifetimes, I'll come back here and ask you, Bhanu, are you still suffering? Or whatever your name is 20 lifetimes from now.
We go through a period of happiness and sufferings. As we're doing devotional service,
how do you plan to end your suffering?
Surrendering to Krishna and advancing.
Well, advancing to what?
Advancing to a stage of pure devotee.
Okay.
Oh.
So already Kanista Adhikari, in the lower third or 25% of Kanista Adhikari, we are not advanced Kanista Adhikari. So maybe we're one quarter of the way up the scale, a third of the scale. Some people maybe even halfway up the scale. But in any event, suffering means that I identify with my body, and that the mind is identifying with the body, because the mind is the vehicle that feels the suffering, not the body. Why would the body suffer? The mind senses that the body is suffering because of certain things, but the body just has chemical reactions in it, right? Earth, fire, water, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. The body is completely stuck and under the control of the three modes of material nature. And the body operates mechanically or chemically. Everything we do, we put food in our mouth, prasadam in our mouth, it turns into a chemical situation. Chemistry takes place, chemical reactions take place. That's called digestion. So it's just like any other chemical. You could go in a laboratory and pour things into test tubes, get chemical reactions. You see? So that's what we're doing. So once we beat the mind with a shoe in the morning and with a club at night, then we can give up the sense that my body is suffering. Why should I become addicted to thinking that my body is real enough? It's asat, it's temporary. Why do I care if it suffers or not? Suffering is just me identifying with the body. The body doesn't suffer. I suffer thinking that the body needs this or needs that. I'm anxious for the body. Well, bodily conception means practice and become a really good Kanista Adhikari. Because in that process, you'll give up identifying with your body. And you'll give up with suffering. Then you can begin Madhya Adhikari platform without suffering, okay?
Manu? Yes?
You just had a sip of water. I mean, you wanted to drink water. You were thirsty. If you hadn't drink, if you would have stopped drinking it for 1 hour, prolonged it for half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, that is suffering. your body is
Chemistry.
quenching for thirst, or if you're
Chemistry,
gone without
Prabhu.
for
You think I wanted a
one
glass
day.
of water? My body requires some water. Just like your car requires gasoline and water. You have to put it in the radiator. If you don't put water in the radiator, does it mean if you see the radiator needs water, like a gallon or two of water, do you say, oh, I'm thirsty? Or my car is thirsty? No, the car needs water to run. The car needs petrol to run. It has nothing to do with desiring. The car doesn't desire. It's just a machine. Our body doesn't desire. It's just a machine.
Means, I mean, the whole sense gratification is for the body, not for the soul, isn't it?
Sense gratification is the illusion that we're the body.
No.
How
Sense
can
gratification.
we enjoy our senses?
The senses
Our
are part of
senses
the
are not
body.
us. Why not separate the mind from the senses? That's the process. If you can separate your mind from your senses, then your senses are no longer being, and the soul is being, remember that picture in Bhagavad Gita, the soul is being dragged by the mind, is being dragged by the senses. So you think, what the mind is thinking, I must obey the senses. You don't have to obey the senses. The body.
How do you do that? How do you separate the mind from the senses?
By the soul beating the mind with a shoe in the morning and a stick at night. You have to let go of the body. That which you think is you only in terms of your connection with the body. So because we identify with the body, we then think that's me. And who is me? Who actually is me, Banu? Who is me? Who am I?
Bhanu is the spirit soul.
Who said that? Banu?
Yes. Bhanu.
Ramachandra.
Oh, no, I wanted Banu to say it. Yeah. You see, Banu, I am not the body, therefore I do not desire to drink water. I am spirit soul, and I can force the mind to let go of its saturation into the body since conception and in some previous births as well. I can drag the mind out of there, beating it with a shoe. And the mind will say, no, I want to go back in there. I'm hungry. I want to take water. And you hit it again. No, don't hit me. Then give up that idea that you want to be in the body. Otherwise, I will not stop beating you. Well, you're going to keep beating me. Yes, until you let go of the body and come with me. And who the hell are you? I am Shiva. I am Sat. I am Krishna in minute form, namely Jiva. And you belong with me, not with the body. And get over here, or I'll get my shoe off and start beating you again. Does that make sense, Banu?
Mm-hmm.
You have to take control. You cannot expect Krishna to control for you. He won't, quite the opposite. He'll indulge you in every crazy thing you ever wanted. He has since you were born, hasn't he? When you want something, you figure out how to get it. Is it not true?
Bhanu.
Banu is muted.
Go ahead, Bhanu. Are your questions getting answered, or should we change gears and come back another day to your Do you have Chirananda Prabhu, you wanted to say
He's
something?
mute. Banu is muted. He
Yes,
can't speak.
Banu, do you know that you're muted?
He's muted.
Okay, one second.
Does
Let
it-
me
He has to unmute him.
Does he know can he hear or he cannot?
he can
Ah,
hear.
no,
Maybe
no.
now.
Now you're not
host-
muted
Now it's
anymore.
okay.
Hare Krishna.
The
Oh,
Banu.
go ahead, Ramachandra. You were asking Banu a question.
Yes, Banu, are your questions getting answered, or should we move on to the next? Or do you have any more questions, or do you need any clarification?
And they are getting answered.
They are okay. Very good. That's what I want to hear. If you know, if it's getting answered, that's great. Chirananda Prabhu, you want to say something?
Oh, there's a newcomer. You know, Amiu.
Yes.
I think he wants to say something.
Yes. Can you unmute yourself, Prabhu, and say something about what you have learned and what if you have any questions?
Amiu,
Unmute yourself.
unmute yourself.
Can you hear us, Emil?
Press
When
on the
he's
screen.
muted, can he hear? Can he hear while muted? He should, right?
Yeah, he can hear while
He's
muted.
hearing, but he's muted.
I think
Yeah.
Well, he's
you
not
are
even
muted
there.
everyone in the conversation. Maybe
You know, he's
you
not
need to
there.
give
He's not-
permission to him to unmute.
Allow
But-
participants to
Okay.
unmute themselves. Okay, go ahead.
Ramachandra, that's not him. That's a photograph.
We don't know.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Now,
Jai. Haribol.
All of a sudden,
Welcome.
his shirt is in blue.
Welcome. Introduce yourself little.
Hare
Yes, Prabhuji,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, I'm from India and my English is not so good.
No, you're fine. But are you Bengali?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm a Bengali.
Jai.
In Calcutta?
Yes, Prabhuji, Calcutta, Kolkata.
Bangla na janta. Bangla na janta. Yes. But I can appreciate you speaking English nicely, so go ahead.
So, Prabhuji, but why it is very difficult for me to control the senses, bodily senses and mind? Why it is so difficult? On my own.
Because there's only one reason, and that is because you see, there's the soul, the mind, and the body. In the conditioned state, and everyone unless you're a avatar, when you are born, you're born in the conditioned state, and you gradually learn that aham brahmasmi, I am not my body, I am spirit soul. But as long as I identify with my body, the mind is in the body thinking that it's me. So how can I control my senses? Well, first of all, my senses are not mine. Right? Is that okay? You can understand that? Because my
Yes.
English may not be good
Yes,
for you.
I can
either.
understand, Prabhuji, I can understand.
Okay. So if I think, why can I control my senses? Well, let me ask myself, are my senses mine? Or do they belong to my body? And am I the body or not the body? If I say I need to control my senses, I am the body. No, I am not the body. I am spirit soul. So once the spirit soul wakes up and digs in his toes into the ground and refuses to be dragged by the mind towards the body, but when the spirit soul ceases to identify with a particular birth, in your case, Bengali birth, that's wonderful, Bangla birth, that's great. But that's not who you are. You are spirit soul. And you've been spirit soul in every body that you've taken up until the present body that you're in right now. You could be in any body, and not just human body. You could be a monkey body, you could be a cow body, you could be a dog body. We've been many things. It's possible that a person falls from the demigods and becomes a human being on earth. But also it's possible that a person fell down billions of years ago, billions of lifetimes ago and progressed up from germs to insects to rodents to dogs to cats to cow to human. It's possible also that we came up like Darwinian style through every species. We don't evolve from one species to the next. Our consciousness evolves from one species to the next. We take this body, then that body. I like to tell the story or say that there's a mouse that's in a basket, and he's a very excited and intelligent mouse. And he sees a big chunk of cheese about 4 feet away from his basket. So he jumps out of the basket and runs towards the cheese to take a great big bite. Are you following me, Emil?
Yes,
You can
yes,
understand?
yes, Prabhuji, I am
Okay.
following you.
So he goes and he wants to get a big bite of that cheese. Well, before he even gets within 6 inches of the cheese, a cat that's been waiting pounces on him and eats him. Next birth, the same mouse in the same basket gets out, but this time he has a hunch that might not be that easy to get the cheese. So he gets out and he looks this way and that way, doesn't see the cat. He goes up, reaches, opens his mouth, takes a bite, starts to take a bite, bang, the cat gets him again, maybe a different cat. And then again and again, until finally he learns how to be so sneaky and so good that he can get the cheese without being killed by the cat. And then in his next birth, he becomes a cat. Because he's learned everything a mouse can learn, how to defend against a cat. So once he's learned how to defend against a cat, he's qualified to become a cat. He becomes a cat and starts catching the mice that are trying to get the cheese, you see, like the one that he was eaten by so many times. But then the dog comes and kills the cat. So after that happens a number of times, he becomes a dog. And that keeps on going. Prabhupada said 3 species are likely to become human beings. The cow, the tiger, and the monkey. Those 3, I believe, isn't that right? Those 3 become humans in the next life. But what sort of human being do they become? They're in some jungle somewhere, 3 feet tall, running around with their hair all around them and naked and killing things with a sharp stick, you know. They're not very advanced humans. But then they keep on advancing until they become an advanced human. And therefore, at some point, they may hear the holy name of Krishna as a somewhat advanced human, a little bit advanced human, or perhaps even a very advanced human, scientist or whatever. The problem with scientists is they are too knowledgeable to want to pick up something as idiotically simple as chanting Hare Krishna, because they think they already know things. They don't realize that if they try chanting, all their knowledge will go out the window. It no longer counts. So they miss the boat by being too smart for the boat. So anyhow, that's how you get there to that body. So, but the secret is when you become a knowledgeable human being, when you discover by reading the Bhagavad Gita, by meeting Srila Prabhupada, that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am not the body, right? And so as the soul, I'm sitting there with the body. I may be inside the body, I am inside this body, but just imagine that the soul is Sat, eternal. The body is Asat, temporary. If the eternal identifies with the temporary, he's in a very tough spot.
Why is it identifying? Because since soul is eternal, why is it associating with asat?
Because of the mind. The mind
Yes,
saturates into the body and identifies, I am this body, no matter which body you're in. I like to say, if you have a honey jar shaped like a bear, Mrs. Honey Bear, bear. In America, we have those bears.
No, I mean to
Plastic
say,
bear jars
why isn't the soul
before the
controlling
hanging,
the mind? Why isn't the soul
because
controlling the
the
mind?
soul is being controlled by the mind. The mind is identifying with the body, so the soul thinks it is the body. And that is a rude awakening when the soul, Prabhupada says consciousness is the indicator of the soul. So look at all these people. I ask them, do you have a soul? Oh, yes, I have a soul. Who is talking? I have a soul. Well, obviously the soul's not talking. So who's talking? The body, right? Through the mind, or the mind is talking, utilizing the identification with the body. They say, I have a soul. And I tell them, I don't have a soul. They look at me in horror because they're usually, Christians or Jews or Muslims or something. And they look at me and say, what are you talking about? You don't have a soul. I say, I don't have a soul. I am the soul and I have a body. So once I identify that I am the soul, and in Sanskrit, Prabhupada ended every lecture practically by either saying, I am not this body, I am spirit soul, he would say at the end of the lecture, or he would say, Aham Brahmasmi, which means Aham means I am, Aham means I am, Aham I am, Brahmasmi means Brahman, or Krishna's spiritual energy. I am that. Okay, that's why Banu. So when you, and to Abhiyo Ghosh Prabhu, when you come to that stage, you break away and say, I am the soul. And the soul consciousness is the indicator of the soul. So a dead body is not conscious, but a live body is conscious. So when you say, what is the conscious? That is the soul. And do I have a soul? No, I am the soul. And I have the body. And I have a mind also. And once I know I am the soul, then I become very, very impatient with the mind for identifying with the body. I said, come on, pus, blood, stool, and urine. Why are you so excited about that, Mr. Mind? The mind is so interested in the material body. It
Yes,
gets
yes,
dirty, you
Prabhuji.
have to bathe it.
That's the mind is
It has
playing so
digestion.
trick. Yes, Prabhuji.
You got
That's
it?
why. Yes.
Yeah, are you 100%? So the secret is the mind, the soul beats the mind 100 times, 50 times on the shoe in the morning, 50 times with a stick at night, and makes the mind let go of the body. And then it comes and surrounds the soul. The soul is the infinitesimal dot, and the mind is like a gob that does no shape. It doesn't take the shape of the soul because the soul doesn't know what shape he has, and he doesn't know what shape he has because he's not in his rasa with Krishna, which determines which shape he has. That's why you have to become an Uttamadhikari, because when you become an Uttamadhikari, the soul takes on when you become an Uttamadhikari, the soul takes on the shape to relate to Krishna in the mood that you've developed as a Madhyavadikari. So anyhow,
Prabhu,
getting back to yes. So what else would you like to ask Emil Ghosh? Or would you like to say?
can I
Yes,
ask?
Prabhuji. That's why
Yeah,
the mind is playing so tricks that
The
it
mind is what?
indulges into. The mind
I'm
is
sorry.
playing us to tricks that to enjoy the senses.
Yes,
It's
because the mind wants the soul to believe that the body is the self. Supposing
yes,
you, Emil, concluded that your body that you were in since you were in your mother's womb and you were in your father's semen coming into your mother's body, well, just imagine what if you thought that is not me, that which came out of the womb, that was a baby and then grew up and became a Mio now Ghosh. What are you, about 25 years old, 30 years old now?
Yes, Prabhuji, I'm 25.
Okay, so, okay, 25? Yeah, I got it right in the middle,
Yes,
20, 25, okay. So, supposing you said, I have, I have been mistaken since I came out of the womb, at least, and even in the womb, but coming out of the womb, I've been mistaken, thinking that I am Amir Ghosh. I'm thinking that I am that Bengali man from India who has this parent mother, this parent father, this uncle, this brother, this sister. All of these things are me. Well, they're not you. They are associated by karma, meaning the body is under the law of karma, not under the law of Krishna. So by karma, you took your birth. By karma, I took my birth. Madhu took his birth, and Ramachandra took his birth. We all took birth according to our previous life's activity. And when I say previous lives, not just our immediate previous life, but maybe 100 or 200 lifetimes before, something comes down through our existence, and bang, we have to enjoy or suffer something from 1,000 years ago, perhaps, or 20, 50, 100, 200 years ago, like that. So does that make sense? We are not the body. I am not this body. I am spirit soul. So
Just a comment.
okay. So you can say it's fine and dandy to say I'm not the body, but how do I experience not being the body? And that is by the soul demanding that the mind come back and leave the body. The mind is where your emotions and feelings are. Tell the mind to get out of that body. And
So
then
can
you can experience being spirit soul. Yes?
about beating the mind with the shoe and in the day and beating it with the stick in the night? Can
By
you give
chanting.
reference? Can you give reference? Which devotees did this practically?
No, it's not
Bhaktisiddhanta
literally.
Saraswati is the author of that statement. And he said he did it to himself. He said, every morning I beat my mind with a shoe 50 times, every night 50 times with a stick. And, shoe is not as hard as a stick. And nighttime is more temptations than daytime.
So is it normal beating or very hard beating? Wound. If the wound come, if he hit it with the stick, is it normal?
Well, think of the things you might want to do at night, and you'll realize hitting with a stick is better than hitting with a shoe.
Ramachandra?
Just like a small.
Yes, go ahead, Jai.
No, I like to clear this point. If this is
Chidinanda
really
wants to say something.
practical, if this is really practical, be hitting it with the shoe in the day and hitting it with the stick in the night at night.
Well, not literally.
Controlling your mind.
Well, that's
making your mind listen to the soul.
You have to punish the mind.
How powerfully should you be hitting your mind?
You have to punish the mind for identifying with the body to the degree that the mind will reluctantly, impatiently, and irritatedly and enragedly let go of the body and come back to you, the jiva.
Chidinanda Prabhu wanted to say something. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Actually, I'm thinking about the other religions like Christianity, Islam. The preaching is, I am the body. And then it's all based on that. And at the end of life, they bury the body and they think the body will be resurrected at Judgment Day when Jesus Christ will come back. It's all misconception.
And they make the coffin out of beautiful wood rare wood and metal and gold and
Yeah.
silver. And it's a big waste because the body's not going to be resurrected. The body's better off cremated. And then the soul doesn't hang around and become a ghost.
Aye.
Yeah. We have been so misinformed
Amir
about
Ghosh,
the
are
basic
you in
thing.
Calcutta?
Yes, Prabhuji, near
Hey,
Kolkata.
hey,
Yeah, down
Okay.
near Howrah Bridge. Howrah, you know, the bridge, there's a big
Yes.
big graveyard down there. I think it must be Christian graveyard, big graveyard. And
Yes.
people come and they put flowers on the graves.
yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
people go and steal the flowers from the grave and go out on the road and try to sell it to people to give to their
That's happened
girlfriend
all
or
the
to
time.
give to their deity, give to their mercy.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Prabhupada
Also
said,
that happened.
when we were when I spent some time. Do you spend time at the Krishna Temple on Shakespeare Sarani?
No, Prabhuji, I don't go there.
Oh, where do
I
you
am a
go?
Bengali.
What? No, Shakespeare
I,
Sarani is right near Chaurangi, on the corner of Ganga Ram and
Prabhuji,
Grandson.
I am 20-25 kilometers away from that. Hooghly.
Oh, you're in Hooghly?
Yes,
Hooghly.
Prabhuji. Hooghly.
Yes.
Oh,
Hooghly.
that's what I was talking about. Hooghly is where the graveyard, Christian graveyard is, where they put the flowers. And then the people on the street, they steal the flowers and try to sell them for people to give to their
Yes.
girlfriend.
Yes.
You know,
So
in Indonesia,
Hooghly.
It's worse. They bury the relatives, or they just leave it in the room, preserve it and dress it as if it's still alive. And every year they take it back from the graveyard and re-put clothes on it, on the body. This is
They dig up the body?
They dig up the body after 1 year and
Oh.
put clothes in it, perfumes. This is how it is in
Well, do they
Indonesia.
embalm the body first, or it's just rotted away?
They can put the embalming. The thing is, they think their relative is still within that body. So every year they do that, year after year.
Wow.
Can you
It's
imagine?
crazy. Very expensive,
Well,
probably.
hopefully it's not true, eh? We want to think the soul has gone on, not that the soul is still in the body, and you have to unbury it every year and get it fresh clothes.
We have a lot of work to do to brainwash that, to clean the brains of all conception.
It's crazy. But, people do what they believe to be the truth. People do what they feel they should do, right?
Right, right. So it's 9:36 p.m. in California. Anyone watching on YouTube or Facebook, they can join us on the Zoom. I've posted the link there on the YouTube channel, I think. Okay. Let me check. And anyone here have any more questions?
Well, Amir Ghosh, I'm not sure that I talked a lot, but I don't know if I answered your question that you were asking.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Are you satisfied with the answer? If not,
yes,
then I didn't do a good job. Oh, you don't have to say
Ramachandra?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Prabhuji, I just want one more question.
Yes.
That there are so many intellectuals.
We welcome you. You are so welcome here, and we admire you and your intelligence. So thank you for joining us.
Yes,
I will make advances by talking with you.
Amir?
Go ahead.
Yes.
Now you have the question. What's your question?
Yes. Prabhuji, I'm asking that there are so many intellectuals, so many mindly intellectual people are there in the government or in high class society in India also, but they want us to also indulge in bodily senses, and they are preparing us to live by only bodily concept?
Well,
Let them
because
do.
the Western
Right?
countries created the technology,
Yes,
but then the Indians from IT and Bangalore and Hyderabad and whatnot, they picked up and become better than the Westerners because the Brahminical intelligence is smarter than the people in America. So they
yes,
picked
Prabhuji.
it up and now they're doing it. But we need to, they can do or not to, but we want to bring them the holy name of Krishna as a means of ceasing to identify with the body. Now, what does it matter if they can be a coolie or a sweeper in the street? That's fine. They can be a mukatbala. They can be they can sell flowers in the street. They can do it as long as they're not from the graveyard. But
Prabhuji,
whatever they
Prabhuji,
do, that's fine. But they need to add Krishna. Prabhupada said, don't change anything. Just add Krishna. You
Okay.
know? And they can if we make them understand that fact. Like Banu, Ramachandra, Chidananda, and yourself, why don't we make it our vow to take birth after birth, even if we have to, in order to bring the holy name of Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the most wonderful Bengali of all Bengalis, to he brought the holy name only 500 years ago. That's only 20 generations ago, basically, 20 lifetimes ago. So why don't we make that happen?
So
Right.
what you're saying is,
Bring the holy name to everyone, including the guys with IT, including the Indians that started drinking wine and eating meat. It doesn't matter. We just transform them again by chanting Hare Krishna. Instead of making a
Banu,
moral judgment on people, we're not going to say you're a bad person. We say you are intelligent and you're following a model. Here's a model which you can follow forever. The
so
thought.
the whole philosophy of Prabhupada, the whole philosophy of Prabhupada is to get out of the samsara of birth, death, old age, and disease. Get out of
Yes.
it and go back to Godhead. Even before coming to America, I say he printed the magazine Back to Godhead. There's no double statements when Prabhupada speaks. He meant what he says. That's what he meant it.
Yes, that's
So,
brilliant. I knew that's one of the best things I've heard you say. It was first class.
so
I have a question.
Prabhupada wants
Thank you.
everyone to go back.
You're
He
you
wanted
are enlightening
all
me.
his devotees to go back to Godhead. Even if one of the devotees he has initiated at that time goes back to Godhead, his mission is a success, he said.
Yeah. So, but once you're initiated, the rest is up to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to meddle around on the Abhilasha beach, meaning social life as a Kanista Adhikari, you can do that as many births as you like. You can do that for 1,000 births if you wish.
mm-hmm.
But if you want to
Ramachandra?
become
Yes.
the Bhakti Lata beach, the Bhakti Lata beach is the devotional creeper going up to Krishna's lotus feet. Vertical beach, then the independent philosopher with the Bhakti Lata beach, he can become not only enlightened, but he can enlighten and will automatically enlighten everyone he meets.
Joy.
Ramachandra?
Yes.
If you're a
Manprabhu.
devotee of Krishna,
I mean,
you don't have to
Chidan
say
Prabhu.
anything. People will be affected by you even if you say nothing.
Yes, Chidan Prabhu, go ahead.
One question in my mind is that when Buddha is being offered in the temple, if I'm not mistaken, they offered to their living guru. Is that okay? And not so Prabhupada.
That means you can offer it to your cat also. As long as the prasadam is offered to Krishna, that's good. I mean, however they do it, they've turned it all around in the temple that instead of offering to their guru first, they offer to Prabhupada first, then their guru, because they know damned well that their guru is not a pure devotee. if they offer to their guru first, that's where it ends. It will never get to Prabhupada. It will never get to Gauritai. It will never get to Krishna or Lord Jagannath. It never will, because it's stuck with the Kanista Adhikari initiators.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you offered, so the answer to your question really is, offering to Krishna, Krishna will accept it. If you offer first to somebody that's not Krishna, that's an anartha. That is a sinful thing to do. So what can I say?
Prabhu, I didn't
But
get
it's
your.
it's better than nothing. Yes,
I didn't
Prabhu?
get your idea. We all have to wait and make others go back to Godhead, and then we should be going back. Going back to Godhead. I didn't get that idea.
Oh, you are going back to Godhead by chanting Hare Krishna and doing devotional service and offering to Krishna. If you get others people doing the same thing, that's good. That's wonderful. How many lifetimes does it take to go back to Godhead? Well, it means how many lifetimes will it take
There's no set
before
period.
I give up being a Kanista?
No one can say anything about it.
Of course they can.
Yeah.
I can. It is so simple. When you give up being a Kanista Adhikari because you've advanced, you've gone up from the lower quarter to the middle to the 3/4 to the top of Kanista Adhikari, and you're ready to enter Madhyam Adhikari, that is when your chance to go back to Godhead begins.
Yeah. I'm talking about a set years. You can't say how this many lifetimes or this many years. That's what I'm saying.
So
You cannot,
it's not a
you cannot
question
put it
of
into
lifetimes or years.
some births. You cannot put so many birth lives, so many lifetimes.
It's your consciousness that counts. Your consciousness that counts, not how many years. Prabhupada said you can become a pure devotee in an instant, immediately. Or it may take 1,000 lifetimes. There's no way to guarantee or measure how long it will take for you to become a pure devotee. That is between you and Krishna. But you have to be vertical, not dependent on any other mortal being. If you're looking for a guru to be dependent on, good luck. You will take many, many, many births if you do that, because unless you're depending on Prabhupada, that guru is going to slow down your spiritual advancement. He doesn't speed you up, he slows you down, because he's not at the conclusion. He's not, you heard, I described up to the end of Kanista Madhyam Adhikari. At that point, the curtain of Maya rolls up. You can see Krishna face to face. At that point, you become an Uttama Adhikari. So it really depends how many births you want to remain here before you become an Uttama Adhikari. Or how many births you think you have to take before you become an Uttama Adhikari.
Does it? It depends on me also. It depends on Krishna also.
No. It depends only on you.
Only me.
Why does it depend on Krishna? Krishna is already Krishna. What do you want him to do?
I have to put my efforts.
What does
I have
Krishna
to
do?
take it up seriously. I have to implement it from my side, and Krishna has to be pleased through my efforts.
If your effort is so attractive that Krishna is attracted to what you're doing, then he will be attracted to you, yes. But he's not doing anything. He's responding to you. You are being attractive. Just like Krishna is not making the gopis into gopis, Krishna is dancing with the gopis who are very good at being gopis. The gopis are expert gopis. So you need to be an expert Banu in relation to Krishna.
So
and then Krishna doesn't initiate anything.
Mm.
The only thing Krishna initiated was he sent Prabhupada here. He came as Lord Chaitanya, that he initiated, and he sent Srila Prabhupada, the Sampradaya, that he initiated, and he sent Srila Prabhupada as, I believe, is the last in the Sampradaya.
Isn't
So, what importance
Kali
does
Yuga.
the Sishtastakam have in this connection? Sishtastakam, four sloka.
I'm sorry.
What importance does the Sishtastakam written by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for stanzas does have in this conversation?
what
Well, let's just okay.
what are you trying to say, Banu? Are you saying that Lord Krishna has to approve you to go back to Godhead? Is that what
No,
you're
no.
saying?
Those in, who's laughing?
Who's Samanya
What,
now?
what,
I mean,
what is your
those
Banu, I
the
want to know.
instructions given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm saying. Trinadapi
In Shastastakam.
Sunichena. Trinadapi
No, no, read
Sunichena.
it many times, many times. You have to read it many times.
So what do you want to know?
I mean, do we have to follow those instructions? I mean, going from the
Of
first
course.
Shastastakam,
Well,
is that one of the process?
do you know the Shastastakam? What is the first?
We need to be humbler than the blade of the grass and more tolerant than at the tree, so that we can chant the Hare Krishna mantra
that
eternally.
is for the neophyte, isn't it? I mean, if you're not a neophyte, being puffed up is out of the question.
What about the second instruction? Second
Go for it.
stanza.
Which one is that?
Can you get it, Ramachandra Prabhu?
Nadhanam. That's Nadhanam. That sloka.
Janam.
Na Dhanam, na Sundarim, na.
Kavita.
Search it in net.
So what is the second shlok of these?
I don't want any following. I don't want beautiful women. I don't want this. I don't want that. I just want your causeless something.
These two so far are written for the materialist to tell him what do you no longer get to have if you want to be a devotee. No beautiful women. Okay, give that up. That's what the verse is for. You don't need it. Once you're as Kiddush Adhikari, you should technically don't need the Sisastakam because you're doing it. Now, what's the third one?
You're muted.
Yes, let me look it up, Prabhus. Continue.
That would be nice. But you get the point. Lord Chaitanya is making the holy name of Krishna available to anyone. But he's telling you what you have to give up if you want to take it seriously and actually become a pure devotee.
Mm-hmm. So those are...
Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you're back again. No more photograph of Amelia Ghosh. That's wonderful.
The Sushtastakam is for to get to the point of pure chanting, is it? Pure chanting of the holy name. Is the Sushtastakam to get to the point of pure chanting of the holy name?
Well, let's see.
Okay.
Did you find it?
I have it here. Should I read? Which one should I read? Should I start from the beginning, the third one?
Well, you might as
Which
well
one?
read
Third
the
one.
first. We discussed the first two, but why not read the first two and then read the third?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
a glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. So let me share the screen so people can also see
it.
it.
Before you finish that, Prabhupada's language, the original in the Bhagavatam that he brought from India, he says, not for which we're always anxious, for which always anxious we are. More
Yeah, this is different. Yeah.
Well, of course, it's
Yeah, like
giant rightified. It's been giant rightified.
right.
But
Next
anyhow,
one
now
is
what's the third one? Yes.
the second one. Oh my Lord, your holy names alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. Not e- they are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of your kindness, you enable us to approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. Okay. Third one,
Yeah.
one should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
So
Okay.
you can wait. You can see that the purpose of this so far is to bring a person to become a Kanistadakari.
Hmm. Hmm.
Take an ordinary guy, regardless of caste, regardless of race, regardless of upbringing, regardless of gender, and now you can come to chant. This is what it takes, not Brahmin birth or male birth or anything like that. It is all inclusive. So keep on going.
Saying, "Oh Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth. O son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O Lord, O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up? And when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I'm considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I'm feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipper Lord unconditionally. Jai.
Yes.
All right.
So you can see this is an invitation. It's cautionary. It limits what you can do. It tells you that you don't have to be born in a certain class or caste to chant the holy name. So for the Madhyamadakari, he has already accomplished the instructions there. He doesn't need to meditate on that. He needs to meditate on how he is going to please Krishna in such a way that Krishna will want him in Krishna Loka. Does that make sense?
Jai.
It's more advanced. Of course, the Gurvastakam the Shastastakam is as advanced gets. It's spoken by Chaitanya. But it's not advanced from the purpose of becoming the Madhyamadakari. It's valuable in releasing oneself from the limitations of Kanista Adhikari.
Prabhuji, being a Kanishta Adhikari, new devotee, can we get back to Godhead by only chanting, only Sankirtan Yajna?
I don't quite follow. I didn't quite understand. What you said was beautiful, but I didn't quite understand it. Can you?
Please repeat, Amiru.
Prabhuji, I am saying that that being a Kanishta Adhikari or a new devotee, can we get back to the Godhead by only chanting, by only doing Sankirtan Yajna?
Well, yes. Lord Chaitanya, there's no other way, no other way, no other way in this age of Kali. Harinam, 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 Evikelam, Kuluva, the Steva, the Steva, the Steva, Gatir Anataha.
So there you
That
go,
is-
Ramachandra
That's
Prabhu.
Bengali, and I'm sure I pronounce it really badly.
That's it. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful religion, true religion for the Kali Yuga.
No other way, no other way, no other way.
No other way.
Jai.
We have to spread it all
Yes.
over the world.
So, Amiya Ghosh Prabhu, you are born in the incredible land of Bangla. You are born in the land where Krishna Chaitanya stepped with his own lotus foot of Radha and Krishna in one body. This is so remarkable that I have to offer my obeisances and respects to you
No,
time and
Prabhuji, I
again
am
and again and again out of humility. Because you're there, you were born. I was born in California. It's not the same. California,
same.
you can become a devotee. And in Bengal, you are born, started out as a devotee. And that's wonderful.
Jai.
Of course, Kali worship is there, Ramakrishna is there, and all sorts of the Baals are there, the Baals and the Owls, and the
Bowels, owls, and
all of these people are there. that are
Sahajas.
Sahajas and actually destroying the mood of Chaitanya as best they can. Because Prabhupada said, because of Ramakrishna, Bengal has gone to hell.
Vivekananda, Prabhuji. Vivekananda.
Are you a worship?
Vivekananda.
Are you a devotee of Ramakrishna by any chance? No. Yes.
No, I
If so,
I know. I read about Ramakrishna Swami Vivekananda when I was young.
Yeah.
But when I
I
know
went
about
to the-
Prabhupada, I only follow.
In Calcutta, there's a very gorgeous Ramakrishna temple, and it has different things. Like on one spires and faces, one is a mosque, one is a church, one is a synagogue, one is a temple, one is this. So you walk around like parikram around the Ramakrishna temple, and you see that all the religions on earth are basic religions on earth are being recognized and honored. The slight problem is Krishna consciousness transcends religion. We don't need these religions.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
walked inside, and it was very nice inside. It was gorgeous, good architecture. I'm an architect myself. I've designed to build temples and buildings and stuff like that. So I walk around inside, and I'm impressed. And this pujari, or some servant, maybe not quite a pujari, but he came out wearing his, official servant clothes, shorts and a shirt, a brown color, and that sort of stuff. And he asked me if I'd like to have a tour. So he gave me a tour, and we finally came into the place where worship is taking place. And we come in, and there's a bunch, it's like a little theater, not very big, maybe it holds 100 people. And in the middle was have you seen it? You've probably been there inside the Ramakrishna temple, no?
There was a goat.
Amiyo Ghosh?
No, I have never gone.
Well, I'm
No,
not trying to
I have
encourage
never
you.
gone, Prabhuji.
I don't need to go. I'm doing it for you here. I went inside, and he shows me, and in the middle there's this column about 14 inches, 15 inches by 15 inches, and it goes up with different geometric shapes stacked on top of each other like a cake. On the very top, there is a light socket with an Indian light bulb. I don't know if India still has Indian light bulbs, But in those days, it's a little blob of a bulb in there, in the light bulb. And he brings me in there, and then with a very deep reverence in his voice, he goes behind the curtain and turns on the switch, and the light bulb goes on top of this altar thing. It's just a post, a pedestal. I forget what it's called in the, but anyhow, whatever it is, it's just a thing, you know. Oh, I can't even do it because it's not enough room. But it's a thing there, and it has like cakes, you know, American cakes. They stack them on top of each other. Sometimes, or wedding cake is one level, then the smaller one, and the smaller one, and the smaller one. Well, that's what it was. And this one had a light bulb on the hook. So he goes behind the curtain very surreptitiously, secretly, and the light puts a switch, and the light goes on, and he comes out, and he looks at me with his eyes wide open. He said, "That is the divinity." He said, "It's about the light bulb." And I can't ever control myself in these situations. So I said, "It's very nice, but what happens when the bulb burns out? What happens? The divinity dies." You got the point, right? The light bulb is the divinity. What happens if the light burns out? The bulb burns out. You screw in a new divinity, or what do? You know. Anyhow, you got the point. Amiyo Ghosh Prabhu, right? So anyhow, we're not there with Ramakrishna. We're not there with Vivekananda. But we're there with Lord Chaitanya, directly coming down to Srila Prabhupada. Now, one time Srila Prabhupada went somewhere, I must have been between Calcutta and Navadvip somewhere, and he came to see an ashram of a descendant, a genetic descendant of Lord Nityananda. You know, maybe you know who that is. I don't know who it is. He went to see that person, and he's sitting on a chair, very comfortable, plump fellow, and he's chewing pan, and his lips are bright red. And he's sitting, I don't think he was smoking a beanie, but he was chewing pan. And Prabhupada comes in and offers prostrated. You know, when Prabhupada offered obeisances in the right space and the right time, not officially, but from his heart, he offered obeisances so that practically the earth turned into a lotus flower to enclose his body as he offered his obeisances. And the guy, the descendant of Lord Nityananda, sat there smirking and saying, "Oh, Swami, I am not worthy of this worship that you are offering. This obeisance, I'm not worthy of it." And Prabhupada got up and looked at him evenly and said, "Yes, I know. I'm offering obeisances to your ancestors."
Right.
So he had his way of saying, making cutting remarks as well. I have no idea what the guy did, but it said, "I'm offering obeisances to your," no, not your ancestors, to your lineage. Well, same thing. "I'm offering obeisances to your lineage." So you can offer obeisances to this guy who is completely corrupt guy, absolutely got nothing going except his lineage. Prabhupada offers his obeisances. Why? Because his lineage is Lord Nityananda. How can he not do that? How can he not offer obeisances even though the representative of that lineage is chewing pan and obviously degenerated sort of guy? How can he not do that? That's Prabhupada. The experiences I had with Prabhupada, offering obeisances, speaking, convincing others of the truth of Krishna consciousness, was so shattering to me, not shattering, transformative to me, that when I watched him, I became moved into a different dimension by his words. I'm saying, "Oh my, that's what he was saying. Oh, that's amazing." Not that he was clever, not that he was saying the truth, which he was, of course, But because the way he spoke, you could not help but practically see Krishna present in his words. He was so convincing. And when people in ISKCON want to have their Kanista Adhikari, Amil goes to 3 levels, Kanista Adhikari, Madhyam Adhikari, Uttam Adhikari. You know those 3?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, you do. Okay, well, they're one of the few people on earth that does.
No, no,
In ISKCON,
Prabhu.
they don't. In ISKCON, they don't. What?
No, no,
So,
if you Prabhuji, I want to hear from you. You say.
Oh, about Madhyam and Kanista Madhyam Uttam Adhikari?
Yes, Prabhu.
Well, I have been of a Ramachandra.
Yes, that has been said in the video, so you'll have to
Okay,
watch it
yeah.
over.
He
We have
said in the
discussed
video,
it.
but why not send them a copy of the paper that we developed?
Oh, yes. I have his WhatsApp and his Facebook, so I'll send it to him. No
He'll send
problem.
you. We're discussing this because it's not discussed in ISKCON. A Madhyam Adhikari knows. Well, the example Prabhupada gave is that when you're standing on the train station, like in Calcutta or Howrah, you look at the train coming in nighttime and you see there's a light on the train, but you don't see the train, just the light. That is considered the Madhyam, the Kanista Adhikari, the beginning, the neophyte devotee. Who is the neophyte devotee? He is, Prabhupada said, even the Brahmins of the Vedic hierarchy of structure of Varnashram Dharma were not yet at the stage of Kanista Adhikari. Even though we can say ISKCON, everybody's a Kanista Adhikari accurately, but even that, because of Prabhupada, they became, not because of themselves. Because of themselves, they would have been turning into cockroaches in the next lifetime. Prabhupada said hippies become cockroaches, or some of them do at least. Hello?
Yes, Prabhuji, your video has stopped.
My video stopped?
Yeah, Prabhu.
Okay, we're back again. So the Kanista Adhikari is neophyte devotee, but not a neophyte Vedic member of the Vedic culture. The Vedic culture, the purpose of our Varnashram Dharma was so gradually distilling the Shudra up to the Vaishya, up to the Kshatriya, up to the Brahmin, and then to go further to become the Kanista Adhikari. So in the Vedic culture, it was for material karma. You go to the Brahmins were performing pujas so that instead of on earth, you'll go up to a higher planet, heavenly planet. Or, we're a middle planet, earth. Lower planet is hellish, middle planet earthly, and then heavenly. But there's many layers of earthly and many layers of heavenly also. So to go up to that, the Brahmins perform yajna. But beyond that, Prabhupada says, is the Kanista Adhikari, where he understands, Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am spirit soul. Aham Brahmasmi means, well, you know that because from your language, Aham means I am. And like English, I am, Aham, I am, like that. Brahmasmi means Brahman. So Aham Brahmasmi, you knowing that from your childhood even, I'm sure. So, but if not, it doesn't matter either, because we're doing this all together. We're istagosti. Together we are realizing, not one person or the other. Nobody is teacher, nobody is student. We're all in together in this group. So what happens is that then the Kanista Adhikari is sociable. It's called Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya conversation in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. No, Ramananda Roy was a king, but a Shudra king of Shudras. But he was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya asked him to give him some enlightening thought. So he said, Aniapalasha Beach. Lord Chaitanya didn't accept it because the Aniapalasha Beach is horizontal. And in that horizontal bija, people are sociable, they're religious, they're educated. Yogis that fail to go back to the Brahmajyoti, open up a hospital named Swami So-and-so Hospital, you know. And so that's the Anayabalasa beach. It's a sociable one, horizontal. Then Lord Chaitanya was not pleased. So then he asked Ramananda Roy, what else can you tell me? He said, well, what about the jnana, jnana, knowledge, karma, fruit of work, you do karma yoga to go higher, take a better birth. What we were discussing about the varnish from Dharma. So he said, okay, the Jnana Karma beach. Jnana means Vedanta Sutra. It is the impersonal understanding. And the neophyte or student, aspiring student, came up to the Vedanta Sutra, who's a book, and said to the Vedanta Sutra, for what am I searching? He cries out to the Vedanta Sutra. And the Vedanta Sutra, even though a book, responded with a vibrational language, Tat Vamasi, Tat Vamasi, Tat Vamasi. Thou art that. What am I searching? Thou art, you're searching for who you are. So that's Vedanta Sutra, and it's the yogic process. Lord Chaitanya was not interested. We say that the horizontal, the Vedanta Sutra, the Jnana Karma beach is not horizontal. It's like a dot. It's neither up nor down nor sideways. So Lord Chaitanya was not pleased. Can't you do any better than that? So finally, Ramananda Roy was like perspiring and about to faint and maybe even thinking of running away or killing himself or something like that. Because here's the Lord not satisfied with two things that he said. Two things. And so finally, he delves into his subconscious, I guess, and cries out, how about the Bhakti Lata beach, the devotional creepers that comes from your heart, vertically up to the lotus feet of Krishna, that bija. Bija means seed, of course, and it goes up to the lotus feet of Krishna, and at the lotus feet of Krishna, the Bhakti Lata beach puts out leaves, and then flowers and fruit at Krishna's lotus feet. And that is how the soul vertically becomes the independent philosopher. The independent philosopher is the Bhakti Lata beach process. He goes vertically, not horizontally like the Anayabalasha beach, not Jnana Karma, where you're sitting there trying to concentrate on yourself and your mind and what you think God might be. But no, the Bhakti Lata beach, you go to Krishna's lotus feet. So that is the process that Lord Chaitanya instructed to Ramananda Roy, an incredibly powerful instruction. So, in order to make advancement from the Kanistha platform, which is where you realize, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. That's basically what Prabhupada taught to who? American materialistic hippies, drug users, whatever, people not at all Brahminical, not from good birth like yourself, Amir Ghosh, but really the dregs. But they had a good birth in terms of good karma, and they also had the good birth in terms of education and things like that. So those were good things, like what India is descending into that we had risen up inside of in America. So from that platform, you can reach, follow the four regulative principles, chant Hare Krishna, worship the deity, associate with devotees. In other words, you live in a temple, and that is the Bhakti Lata, and that's the Bhakti Lata. Kanistha Adhikari platform. The Kanistha platform is the neophyte spiritualist, not the neophyte like Vedic culture. So anyhow, next step after that is Madhyama Adhikari. When the Kanistha Adhikari is finished with his social life, his religious life, his business life, and all of that, he can say, I want to develop pure unalloyed love of God, Krishna. I want to love develop love for Krishna in such a way that my love for Krishna will be irresistible to Krishna himself. Then he does no longer depend on his guru, his spiritual master, in this case Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami. He depends on Paramatma to guide him from within to please Krishna in Krishna Loka. So as he was worshiping Krishna in Krishna Loka, I use an example that he's fanning him, and Krishna at first is not impressed, but as he gets better and better at fanning, Krishna becomes a little more engaged in enjoying being fanned by this person. But it's still in the dark universe. He can't see anything at all. He is surrounded like a coconut. Well, you've been called, so coconuts are there. But you take a dry coconut, inside the dry coconut shell, and you shake it, right? It rattles because the coconut husk is outside and the coconut food has shrunk down and that's loose. So the Madhyamadakara is like that. He's inside like a coconut inside the coconut shell. Well, if you're a Madhyamadakara, like a coconut inside the coconut shell, if you go inside the coconut shell, one thing is clear, it's dark. You don't see any light at all, just darkness. So in that darkness, he is busy developing his love for Krishna, guided by the same Paramatma that guides people into the bar, it guides people to kill other people, guides. Paramatma is not just a good guy. He's a good guy, but he's not just doing things for good people. He does things for anybody that asks. And just to give you a quick answer to the unspoken question is, why would Krishna enable you or anyone to do something horrible, evil, murderous, dastardly? Why would he enable you to do that? Because he's in the heart with you, and you are part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna will not deny himself anything. Krishna does not deny anything to Krishna. Can you imagine if Krishna is in Krishna Loka saying, like he's covered with fleas, oh, ouch, 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 oh, no, no, ba, 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 ba. These are all the things that the sinful people want. No, we're separated from him, and he enables us through Paramatma to have whatever we want. We can learn how to do puja in the temple. We can learn how to murder people in the street. We can learn how to take drugs. We can learn how to get people off of drugs. We can teach people to chant Hare Krishna. That's Paramatma teaching us from within, but we cannot think it's only for good. Anybody, even the birds and animals, the pigeons, throw grain to the pigeon in the park, and the pigeon goes, chut, 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 chut. And people, Prabhupada said, people thinking the birds are having a nice chit-chat lunch. They're talking over lunch. And he said, no, they have nothing to say to each other. The birds don't have anything to say to each other. They're simply talking to Paramatma. And when they're going, chut, 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 they're saying, where? And Paramatma is saying, there. So a bird is not very bird-brained. It's not very intelligent. But Paramatma is infinite. He's Krishna himself. He has plenty of time. Time I am, the destroyer of all things. He has plenty of time to instruct each bird how to get each bite of grain, and then how to get some water, and then how to eat a little bit of pebbles, which from a bird's colorblind position must look very much like grain, to help digest in the crop. He's taking that much care with a bird. What to speak of the human being? And there's no spiritual benefit whatsoever to the bird getting grain to eat. It is just the karma of the bird to need to eat. The body of the bird, not the mind, and the mind, but not the jiva. The jiva is completely out of the woods, completely in the woods. On this one, the bird wants to eat, so Paramatma is in the heart and shows him where to eat. Then he wants a female bird. He wants to build a nest. Paramatma shows him how to do it. So we cannot underestimate Paramatma. Now, the Madhyamadakara, we're getting back to, the Madhyamadakara is becoming guided by Krishna from within, by Paramatma from within, and by his pure devotee, Uttama Adhikari Guru, namely Bhaktivedanta Swami, from without, forever, 10,000 years will go on with Prabhupada being Guru. And so he's in that heart of the, he's in the heart, the Paramatma is in the heart, guiding him to please Krishna. So gradually Krishna is getting more and more pleased because the anarthas, or the weaknesses, foolishness, attachments, misconceptions, illusions of the jiva are gradually being replaced with pure devotional service, pure unalloyed love of God being replaced. So Paramatma is helping in that process, and the jiva is desiring that process. And if he starts to fall down, the guru comes and stops him from falling. So at some point, he becomes so expert, so proficiently pleasing Krishna, that Krishna, supposing fanning, till Krishna can't stand it to be separated from this person fanning him. Krishna is saying, why should I be separate from this person? Why should I be here and he's there? I want him here to fan me, not just I will accept his service from there and he's still there in the material world. No, and then Prabhupada said at that point, the dark coconut shell is Maya. The curtain of Maya rolls up. He went like this, rolls up. He can see Krishna face to face. And he comes under the protection of Yoga Maya. He leaves the protection of Mahamaya, comes under the protection of Yoga Maya, and can see Krishna face to face. That's the process. Nobody will tell you that, because if they did, nobody would join your movement. No one will say, oh my God, I have to do all of that. So we say, back to home, back to Godhead. I said, oh, that's nice, let's do it. But they don't realize there's many steps involved. And that step doesn't necessarily it can take a long time or a short time. But I've now given you Kanista, Madhyam, and Uttama Adhikari. And Uttama Adhikari is like the Acharyas, like Bhaktisiddhanta, like Prabhupada, and of course like Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami. They were all gopis in the spiritual world with Krishna, very close to Krishna in the spiritual world. And you know that Lord Chaitanya, Krishna wanted to understand the one thing that Krishna cannot understand, which is surprising because Krishna is God, he understands everything, right? What did he not understand? The extent of Radharani's love for him. You probably know this. So when he became Chaitanya, he came as Radha and Krishna, and so he could experience generating love for Krishna as well as being the recipient of love for Krishna. You know that. So that's the significance. And that's what we're being projected into by the Sampradaya. We're being dragged into there. The Prabhupada said we should all imagine that we're being dragged up through the Sampradaya by Lord Nityananda. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
Prabhuji, thank you. Prabhuji, coincidentally, where I live, my village name is also Mahamaya.
Ah, that's nice. So the Mahamaya means that you can go past Mahamaya. You said Mahamaya?
Mahamaya.
Or Yogamaya?
Yes.
Yogamaya?
Mahamaya. My
Mahamaya
village
is
name.
Your
Mahamaya.
which name? So tell me
Village.
your whole name. What?
My village
Your
name,
which-
village.
His village name.
Oh, religion name? Which religion?
Village, Village.
Oh, village. Village?
Yeah.
Not,
I live in a village.
your village is called is called Maya? Mahamaya?
Mahamaya. Mahamaya. My village name is
Well, that's very
Mahamaya.
good. Well, you know who that is. You're right, Hooghly. That is right near the Bhagirathi River, right? Bhagirathi
Yes.
River is where they throw the murti or image of Kali, who is
Yes.
Mahamaya,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
it's a very sacred name. only in Bengal, only in Calcutta into the sacred name. Otherwise, we're terrified. We're scared of Mahamaya, but not when it is Durga or Kali being thrown in the Ganges. That's really wonderful
Prabhuji,
thing.
Prabhuji, please forgive me today. I have to go to work. I wanted to join
That's all.
early.
Well, I don't want you to get loss of income by not going to work. So please go to work. Are you in time to get there on time?
Yes, yes. And
Not
Prabhuji,
late?
please bless me that. Please
Yes,
bless
bless
me. I
you,
want to
yes.
go back to Godhead. Please
But you
bless me.
you will go back to Godhead. It's just a question of how and when. And if you keep on conversing with us sooner rather than later, you're going back to Godhead sooner because of this conversation, not later. So can you stay with us? And we worship you. We
No,
worship you
Prabhuji,
because
please
you're,
bless me. Please bless me like your son.
yes, like you're blessed like my son, but I'm also honoring you because I am learning from you being in Bengal is like a blessing to me.
Jai.
You're in Bengal right now and I am benefiting. How can I bless you? Yes, I am blessing. I can bless you from Prabhupada. I don't
Yes,
have no power to bless, but I am the servant of my spiritual master, and he's the servant of his and his and his, going back thousands of years, back to Balaram and Krishna Loka. So I offer you my obeisances, but I'm also offering the blessing of everyone, including Krishna, Balaram, and everyone in the disciplic Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So you're getting
Right.
a big blessing, not just one mortal guy like me. Hare Krishna,
Yes,
get to work
yes.
and join us tomorrow if you can.
Yes, Prabhuji, Ramachandra Prabhuji, Bhanu Krishna Prabhuji, please. I'm leaving
Jai.
today. Please forgive me.
Thank you very
Yes.
much for joining.
And all other present devotees.
Embrace his feet out of honor to such a wonderful member of
Jai.
Lord Chaitanya's family.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai.
Oh,
Hare Krishna,
beautiful
Krishna Krishna, Hare
pronunciation.
Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhuji, I'm
Jai,
leaving.
Prabhu.
Right.
Okay, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I think we're
Well,
coming
that was
up to the end.
extraordinary. Now, would you say that was extraordinary, or would you say that was extraordinary? And
Mahai.
Banu, you wanted to know about Kanista Madhyam Uttamankari, and I gave you the instruction on that for you, then I gave it for him, so you got it twice through two different vehicles. How do you like that?
Wonderful.
You know, when Lord Chaitanya was approached by Ramananda Roy, it's in the Krishna book, not the Krishna book, Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. When Ramananda Roy was approached, when Lord Chaitanya was approached by Ramachandra Roy, he said, I want to understand the Atma Rama Shloka as you explained it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Lord Chaitanya says, well, I can't do that. And Ramananda Roy was completely devastated. Oh no, why can't you do that? He says, because when I explained it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, it was at a different time, a different place, different people involved. He and I talking is different than you and me talking. I can't do that. This is what we have to understand about spiritual life, is that it is unique to each participant. So Ramananda Roy was totally crestfallen and totally unhappy. He said, well, what can I do then? I wanted to know about the Atma Rama Shloka. And Lord Chaitanya very helpfully said, well, I can explain it to you here, not there, now, not then, to you, not him. And he did. So in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Prabhupada's synopsis of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are two explanations of the Atma Rama Shloka, and they are very distinct from each other. It's the same Atma Rama Shloka, the same explanation, but they're distinct because it was a different time, a different place, and a different person. How do you like that? So I'm saying to you, Banu, honoring you, I'm saying, I am honoring you, or we're all honoring you, Krishna's honoring you, and Prabhupada is honoring you, that you heard Atmarama Shloka explained to you, and you heard Atmarama Shloka, not the Kanista Madhyam Uttama explained to you, and Kanista Madhyam Uttama explained to him. And you can see there was a difference between them, right? Somewhat. Unique to you, unique to him. So that's Krishna consciousness. Everything, because you're an independent philosopher, each thing you learn is for you, not for him, not for somebody else, and not for me. It's for you. And that is what you need to understand. To become an Uttamadhikari or a Madhyamadhikari, you have to become first an individual, independent philosopher. And if you're not, you'll just be another sheep in the middle of a herd of sheep. Wandering
What
around
does
going,
it mean to be individual philosopher? What does it mean?
Independent philosopher means you don't lean on anybody else for your knowledge. You get knowledge because you're spirit soul. And if I tell you something, or Ramachandra tells you something, or somebody else tells you something, somebody I've never met, your mother or father tell you something, whatever you understand, you're understanding that as an individual spirit soul. So independent philosopher means independent spirit soul, that you don't listen to this initiating so-called guru, you don't listen to that, you don't listen to this. You can listen to Prabhupada, you can read Prabhupada, yes, but you don't have to do anything on the horizontal level. And unfortunately, the ISKCON gurus are on the initiators are on the horizontal level. They're like you, but they're a little more advanced, they're a little more famous, they have better karma for sure, because they're getting money from people. But when they die, they're going to lose it all and everything and more. They're going to
No
lose.
ISKCON gurus, never been with them, never seen them, never got into them. I just wanted no answer from you about my situation. You telling me no about it.
So do you now
another-
do you understand?
Yeah.
Do you get it? Or you got the right idea?
Anu gets everything.
So when you think and meditate on what you've heard tonight, come back tomorrow night or any other night and share what you heard in your heart. Because your realization is more important than the instruction that you're being given. I can tell anybody anything, but if they don't realize themselves in their own way, then what is the use of it? So whatever you've heard, Kanista Madhyam Uttamadhikari, make it yours and then come back. If you're right, you'll be confirmed by all of us. If you're mistaken, you'll be corrected by all of us. So there's no loss for you. You're ahead of the game.
Shall I relate a small story? No, not a story, a situation which happened with me.
Yes. Go ahead. Try.
It was my birthday, and I went to the local Lord Venkateshwara, Venkateshwara.
When was your birthday?
One of my birthdays, I went to the temple.
Yeah.
February 18th. I went to the temple.
February 18th is his birthday. He's older than me by 8 days.
Really? Oh, how amazing. Which month?
February.
Hare Krishna.
February 18th. And I'm 28th.
Oh, that's amazing. Possibly the same sidereal sign.
Yeah.
Me and Donald has a lot of things in common.
It would be Aquarius, no?
I have no idea.
Aquarius.
Yeah. Aquarius, okay.
Could be.
Try.
Because
So,
the sidereal and the Western astrology, you have leap year every 4 years, because the Gregorian calendar goes by sun, but the sidereal goes by the moon, so there's never an error. So there's a thing called an ayanamsa, or a categoric difference between the Western calculation and the Vedic. On the Vedic, like my brother was born December 4th, by Western, he was a Sagittarian. But by Vedic, he was a Scorpio, because you have to move it 20 something degrees.
So I'm a disciple
there.
of Bhanu, Prabhu.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah, no one's.
So Bhanu might be a
We are all
Capricorn, or
disciples
might
of.
be an Aquarius. But you are definitely an Aquarius, Ramachandraji, I think. I'm not an astrologer. Previous lives, yes. This life, no.
Okay, Bhanu Prabhu, you were going to say something exciting. Go ahead.
I went to the local Lord Vishnu temple. Lord
Okay.
Venkateshwara is avatar of Lord Vishnu. So I asked him, take everyone back to Godhead, and response. I got a response, a small sign from the God. A tulsi mala from his body fell down.
Wow. Jai.
What did he say?
So,
A Tulsi Mala fell from his, Tulsi garland fell, right?
yeah,
Garland or Mala?
mala, garland, say.
Or Japa Mala? Japa Mala or Garland?
Garland from the body of the Lord fell. I'm saying.
From the deity?
Yes.
Mercy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fell.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing.
No.
No human act was behind it.
No.
It just fell. Bhanu asked for benediction and Lord Venkateshwara gave it to him. So he's going to deliver the whole world. He's going to take thousands.
No, not me.
Now we got you. Now we have you in a corner. You can't move. You have to deliver the world. Yeah. Okay. So did you get to keep the mala?
No, I later discussed it with Shravan uncle. He said you should have asked for that mala to the pujari. You should have told the pujari about what you thought, and then that's it. I didn't ask. Then I thought.
Well, that's wonderful.
Right.
But it doesn't matter, because the mala is the mala, whether you have it or don't have it. If you have it, something bad could happen to it, But if you don't have it, you have the memory, and there's nothing bad happen to the memory.
Yeah.
Right? Perfect memory.
Mm.
Well, that's wonderful. So have we reached the end of our rope tonight?
It's up to Bhanu. Bhanu, you have any more pressing questions?
No, not all. Maybe
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Hare
Tomorrow,
Krishna.
okay.
And
Jai. Wow,
the great
Mahaprabhu Das.
Mahaprabhu. There he is. Look at
Hare
him.
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama Rama.
Hare Hare.
So
Jai
you're chanting on the
Mahaprabhu Das.
beats, Mahaprabhu Das? You're chanting on the beats?
He's chanting.
Ah,
Bol.
very nice. Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
So as you go along, be sure to move towards being Paka Prasadam area. Eat only food stuff that is offered to Krishna eventually.
Jai.
But not in your own time, not immediately, whenever you want to. Okay?
Me, Prabhu?
Everyone.
Okay.
Yes. Haribol.
Okay.
So,
Haribol, I'm ending the meeting now. Thank you very much for all the devotees for attending.
Mahaprabhu, wonderful to see you. Wonderful to see you,
Hare
Bhanu.
Hare
Wonderful
Bol.
to see Ramachandra,
All goddess
of
to the
course,
assembled devotees.
because he is the
Yeah.
boss.
Narayan.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Yes.
The next time I see you, I
good to
need
see you.
symbols.
Yeah. Yes.
I need to bring me some symbols.
Well, I have to find a way of getting. You can get them on Krishna.com.
Hare Krishna.
Jai
Yeah.
Prabhu.
You go to Krishna.com, isn't it right? You go to Krishna.com and you can get everything.
Jai, yep.
I think you can get on Amazon, or maybe Amazon could be faster delivery. Or maybe
But the
krishnastore.com would be data.
quality is as good.
I don't know. Quality is it's
If
Indian
you want
quality.
quality
So
wise, you can go to krishnastore.org.
okay.
Krishnastore.org,
Yes.
Yeah.
you can get it. I don't have any way to get it except doing the same thing.
Jai. Okay,
Because
Prabhu. So thank.
the temple store has been closed since the pandemic began.
Acha.
Temple's closed still?
Still
Yeah.
closed.
Prabhu?
Yes, still closed.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Jai.
Jai.
All glories to
Haribo.
Srila Prabhupada.
All
Jai.
glory to Srila Prabhupada.